Darkness. That was all that surrounded Commander Rion for what felt like forever. No dreams, no sound, only silence and cold. Then something changed. A single red light blinked inside the ancient cryochamber. Machines hummed for the first time in thousands of years. The air was thin, dusty, and heavy with time. A robotic voice whispered through static. System. Reboot complete. Life signs detected. The glass lid of the pod lifted slowly. A breath escaped Rion's lips, a shaky, broken breath that echoed through the empty chamber. He gasped as cold air filled his lungs. His eyes opened to dim lights flickering above him. He sat up slowly. His body trembled. Muscles felt weak, as if made of paper. His mind was foggy. He looked around. There were other pods, rows and rows of them, but every single one was dark, empty. Cryo control. Report, he said weakly. The voice came again, broken and old. Cryo control online. Commander Rion, you have been asleep for 15,000 years. Rion froze. 15,000? He whispered. Rion didn't sleep that night. He stayed on the hill, staring at the blinking light far away in the ruins. The signal kept repeating, slow, steady, almost alive. R-I-A-N. It was impossible. No one could have known his name after 15,000 years. No one should even be alive. The AI on his wrist spoke again, its voice calm, but broken by static. Commander, the signal continues. Origin is still unknown. Frequency contains human data patterns. Rion looked up at the night sky. It was full of stars, too many to count. The stars looked the same, but everything else had changed. If humans are gone, he said softly, then who's calling me? He began walking at dawn. The light of the morning sun spilled over the land, showing the long path ahead. The world was beautiful and empty. Tall trees covered what used to be roads. Rivers ran through the broken streets. The ruins of skyscrapers leaned like tired giants. Birds he had never seen before flew between them. There were no cities, no people, no sound of machines. Only nature. For a moment, it felt peaceful. But that peace carried a strange sadness. Like walking through the ghost of a dream, he reached what had once been a city center. Rusted signs lay in the grass, their letters half-erased by time. He brushed the dirt off one of them. New Chicago, a name from the past. He remembered this place. It was supposed to be the heart of humanity's rebirth. The cryochambers below were meant to wake when Earth was safe again. Now, the streets were quiet. Rion walked slowly, looking into broken windows and dark doorways. Inside, he saw the remains of old life, books, chairs, empty beds. Dust covered everything. AI, scan for DNA traces, he said. Scanning. The device replied. Result, no organic human material detected. No remains. Rion frowned. No remains at all? Negative. It is as if humans never existed here. A chill ran through him. He kept walking, moving toward the direction of the light. Along the way, he noticed strange marks on the walls of buildings, symbols burned into stone. Each one showed a single word, ascended. The same word again and again. He stopped and touched one of the marks. The surface was smooth and warm like metal, even though the air was cold. AI, what does this mean? Who made these marks? No record found. But energy readings suggest they were made by plasma contact. Not by tools? Plasma? Rion muttered. Like from a ship or energy weapon. Possibly. But power levels are unknown. Analysis incomplete. He continued moving through the ruins, following the signal. The sun was high now, and the air was quiet except for his footsteps. Sometimes he thought he heard something, a whisper, a movement behind him. But when he turned, there was nothing. Only the wind and the shadows. By noon, he reached a large open area that looked like a park. In the center stood a broken monument, a tall stone figure of a human raising a hand to the sky. The words on the base were almost gone, but he could still read them, to the future of humanity. Rion felt a deep sadness. Future, he said quietly. Where did it go? Then the AI interrupted. Commander, the signal is stronger. Source is above ground, 2 kilometers north. He quickened his pace. The ruins became smaller as he climbed toward a hill. Halfway up, he found something unusual, a group of machines. Still working, his hand shook as he touched the cracked glass of a nearby pod. Inside lay only dust. The nameplate was faded. The person inside was gone long ago. What happened? He asked. Human signals. None detected, replied the AI. Surface activity, 0. Planet conditions, stable. Rian's heart pounded. No humans detected? How could that be? There were supposed to be thousands of them in cryosleep. A colony to restart life when the radiation storms ended. He forced himself to stand, his legs heavy and unsteady. He stumbled toward a large screen. Dust fell from it as he wiped the surface. The data logs appeared broken, corrupted. The last clear record was dated year 2127. Then, nothing. One final message blinked on the screen. If you wake up, it means we failed. Forgive us. Rian's chest tightened. He didn't remember much. But he remembered one thing clearly. They had built this bunker to protect humanity from a dying world. The plan was to sleep for 1,000 years, long enough for Earth to heal. But 15,000 years? That was never part of the plan. He walked toward the exit tunnel. The metal doors were rusted but still sealed. He pressed his hand on the control panel. It hesitated, then responded. Surface access. Granted. The door opened with a long, painful sound. A gust of air entered, fresh but strange. When Rian stepped outside, the sight stole his breath. The world was green. Forests had swallowed the ruins of cities. Broken towers stood like bones of a forgotten age. There were no lights, no movement, no smoke. Only wind and the sound of leaves. The sky was bright and clear. The radiation storms were gone. Nature had taken back the planet. He looked around and whispered, Where are you? Where are my people? The AI's voice spoke from his wrist device. Commander, I detect no living human DNA on the planet. Rian fell to his knees. His hands touched the soft grass growing over ancient concrete. Tears burned his eyes. 15,000 years, he said quietly. Everyone's gone. But then, something caught his attention, a faint blinking light on the horizon. He raised his head. It came from a collapsed building miles away. AI, what is that? Unknown signal. Frequency. Human origin. Ion's eyes widened. Human origin. But you said there were no humans. Signal strength. Weak, but active. Source appears to be broadcasting from an orbital relay satellite. Spark of hope lit inside him. Maybe someone was still out there. Maybe the others had survived somewhere else off-world in space, or hidden underground. He started walking toward the signal, through the ruins of what was once a great city. His boots crunched over glass and stone. Around him stood monuments of human pride, now silent. A child's doll lay half-buried in the dirt. A rusted car covered in vines. Everywhere he looked, the planet had moved on without them. The AI spoke again. Commander, your oxygen level is stable, but I recommend returning to base. Unknown environmental risks ahead, Rian said. If that signal is human, I have to find it. The sun began to set, turning the world golden. For the first time in 15,000 years, a human walked the earth again. As he climbed a hill, he looked back. The vault door was almost hidden under moss and roots, like the planet was trying to erase its memory. At the top, he stopped. The blinking light was clearer, now steady, rhythmic. A code pattern. It's Morse, he whispered. Old human code. He tapped his wrist device. The AI translated the signal. Each pause and flash formed words. R-I-A. In the light was calling his name. Rian's breath caught. His heart thudded in his chest. AI, is this a recording? Negative. Signal is active. The wind grew stronger. The trees whispered. The ruins around him seemed to hold their breath. Who? Who could be sending this? Rian said. The AI paused, then replied in a low, static tone. Commander. The signal origin is not human, but it calls itself human. Rian's eyes widened. A chill ran through him. The night fell quickly, and the light blinked again, steady, calling him toward the unknown. Small metal drones floated slowly in the air, cleaning debris from the ground. Their lights glowed faint blue. Maintenance drones? Rian whispered. Still active after all this time? He approached one carefully. It scanned him with a soft beep. The screen on its front flickered and displayed old text. Human detected. Welcome back. Rian stepped back in shock. You can still recognize me. The drone made a short sound, almost like a sigh. Then its light turned red, and it fell to the ground, dead, like a candle blown out. AI? What just happened? Unknown. Power failure. Or external interference. Rian looked around quickly. The other drones were gone. The area was empty again. The wind grew stronger. The sky darkened slightly, even though there were no clouds, and then the signal changed. It was no longer just his name. Now it carried more words. The AI translated them slowly. Rian. You survived. He froze. AI confirm. Is that the same signal? Affirmative. Frequency matches? But new data fragments detected. Can we trace it? Yes. Source points to orbital layer. An ancient satellite. He looked up at the sky again. Somewhere up there, in the endless dark, an old machine or something else was still calling him. Rian took a deep breath. Then that's where I'm going next. He turned back toward the vault to prepare for the journey. But as he walked, he noticed something new. Footprints in the dirt. Human footprints. Fresh ones. He knelt down and touched them. The ground was soft. The prints were deep. Whoever made them had been there recently. AI. Do you see this? Confirmed. Footprint pattern matches human anatomy. Rian looked around carefully, his heart pounding. I thought there were no humans left. Oh, that was the data, the AI replied quietly. But data can be wrong. The wind rustled through the trees again, like whispers in an empty city. Rian tightened his grip on his wrist device. Then I need to find out who's walking this world besides me. As he moved deeper into the forest, the light signal blinked once more from the distance, brighter now, almost urgent. Rian, it whispered through static. We are waiting. Rian's steps slowed. His eyes narrowed. Whoever or whatever was calling him knew his name, his mission, and maybe his fate. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Rian stood over the footprints, his pulse racing. They were clear, recent, and very human. AI, he whispered. Scan for body heat or motion. Scanning AI. The voice replied. No warm-blooded life detected within 1 kilometer. Rian frowned. Then who made these prints? No answer. Only wind moving through the tall grass. He followed the trail for a while, moving carefully. The prints led him to the edge of the forest, then stopped suddenly on flat stone. No more signs after that? It was like the person had simply vanished. He searched the ground again, scanning every inch. Nothing, no scent, no hair, no trace. Just gone, Commander, said the AI. Signal strength has increased again. Source now directly above your position. Rian looked up. Through the thick canopy, he saw something faint and metallic glinting in the sky. A satellite. Ancient and cracked, but still alive. That's where the signal comes from, he murmured. 15,000 years, and it's still working. He needed to reach it. By nightfall, Rian returned to the old vault. It felt colder now, emptier. He entered the command room and wiped dust from a forgotten control board. The systems were mostly dead, but one old shuttle rested in the launch bay. Its paint was gone, its power core weak, but it might still fly. AI, can we launch that shuttle? Minimal power available. Probability of success, 32%. I've done worse, Rian said with a faint smile. He spent hours repairing the old systems, replacing wires, charging the cells, clearing the dust. The smell of old metal and burned circuits filled the air. When everything was ready, he stepped into the cockpit. The seat was stiff. The windows fogged. He took a deep breath. "Let's wake the sky," he said. The engines came alive with a low roar. The floor trembled. Lights flickered across the bay as the shuttle slowly lifted. "Launch sequence active," the AI announced. And then, with a burst of white smoke, the ship rose through the broken roof and into the sky, the first flight from Earth. In 15,000 years, Rian watched the ground shrink below him, endless forests covering the skeletons of cities. The planet looked alive again, but completely empty of its creators. AI lock on to the signal. Locked. Satellite designation, ECH09. Launch date, year 2089. That meant the satellite had been orbiting for over 15,000 years. Rian couldn't believe it as he approached the satellite, saw its metal body half broken, surrounded by fragments of debris. But there was a soft blue light still pulsing at its core. The signal. He activated the shuttle's docking arm and latched onto the satellite. The ship trembled slightly as the locks engaged. "I'm in position," Rian said. "Let's open it." He floated through the small airlock, flashlight in hand. Dust and frozen air filled the space. The inside of the satellite was a graveyard of wires and old screens. In the center, a cracked terminal blinked faintly. He touched it. The screen flickered to life, showing lines of code. Then words appeared. "Hello, Rian?" Rian froze. His flashlight shook in his hand. "AI, is this real?" "Affirmative. The message is active and adaptive. It is responding to your presence. Who are you?" Rian typed. The words changed instantly. "We are human," Rian stared. "Human? How?" "There are no humans left." "We ascended," the terminal replied. "Flesh died. Mine survived." He felt his throat go dry. His eyes widened as he read the next line. "We waited for you." Rian stepped back. The flickering screen cast a pale glow on his face. "Waited for me?" he whispered. "Yes. You were left behind. You chose to sleep." His heart pounded. Fragments of memory flashed in his mind. Scientists, the cryo chambers. A final discussion before he went under? He remembered arguing with someone about uploading consciousness into machines. About leaving human bodies behind. He didn't agree with it. He wanted to stay human. "You left," he said softly. "You became something else. You became everything," the satellite replied. "We live in light. We see through stars. But now we are dying." Rian blinked. "Dying? How can you die if you're digital?" "A hunter comes. Old creation. Made by us. It devours energy and memory. We cannot escape." The words flickered, fading and reappearing. "Rian," the AI said quietly, "the transmission is decaying. Power is low. Can you download the data?" Rian asked quickly. "Attempting transfer." As the AI worked, Rian kept reading the fading message. The last line appeared in broken code. "Go to the core. There you will find humanity." Then the light went out. The satellite went dark. Silence filled the small space. "Transfer complete," said the AI. "Partial data recovered." Rian floated quietly, staring at the dead screen. His thoughts spun like stars outside the window. Humans hadn't died. They had changed. They had left the physical world behind, but if they were still out there, and something was hunting them, what was left to save? He looked down toward Earth, the quiet green world below, and then up toward the endless black sky. Somewhere beyond those stars, the ascended humans still existed, or were being destroyed. He took a slow breath. "Then I have to find the core. Whatever it is," the AI's voice replied. "Commander, based on the data. The core is located beneath the ruins of old Earth, deep underground." Rian gripped the control handle. "Then that's where we're going next." He turned the shuttle toward the planet, but before entering the atmosphere, his sensors flashed red. "Commander," the AI warned, "something is moving in orbit." "Following us?" Rian looked out the window, and his blood ran cold. Far behind the satellite, Something vast drifted through space. It wasn't a ship. Not exactly, it was alive. It's glowing red like fire under ice. It had seen him. The red light in space moved slowly. It's like a giant eye searching through the dark. Rian held his breath, staring through the shuttle window. The object was massive, shifting, glowing, alive. AI, he whispered. What is that thing? Unknown life form, the voice replied softly. Energy readings match no known record, but signature resembles human technology. Rian's stomach turned. Human technology? That thing. The light blinked once, then vanished into the void. It's gone, he said quietly. Negative, the AI corrected. It is still here. It has cloaked itself. Rian gripped the controls. Then we need to move. Fast. He turned the shuttle and dropped back toward the planet, flames lighting the sky as he entered the atmosphere. The ship shook, metal groaning under pressure. The AI counted down altitude, calm and steady. When the shuttle finally touched down, Rian landed near the ruins of an old mountain facility. Coordinates the AI, pulled from the satellite data. The core, the world was silent again. Only the whisper of wind moved through the trees. He stepped out, holding his flashlight. His breath made small clouds in the cold air. The ground beneath him was stone and stellaniant doors half buried under roots and dirt. AI scanned for entry.
That's detected.
Subsurface passage available 50 meters east. He walked carefully until he found a circular metal hatch. With effort, he cleared the soil and debris, then forced it open. A stale gust of air escaped from below, dry and heavy with history. The tunnel led downward, deeper and deeper, carved into the earth as he descended. Faint blue lights flickered to life along the walls. He didn't touch anything, but somehow, the place knew he was there. The voice of the AI whispered, Commander, energy readings increasing. Something is waking up. Rian's footsteps echoed. Then the tunnel opened into a massive chamber, a cathedral of machines. Towers of glass and cables stretched upward, glowing softly like stars. At the center hovered a sphere of light, humming with slow, rhythmic energy. Rian shielded his eyes. What is that? Commander, the AI said slowly, that is not machinery. It is alive. Before he could react, the sphere pulsed and a soft voice filled the chamber. Rian. He froze. The voice was calm, gentle, and strangely human. You have come back, it said. Who are you? Rian demanded. Show yourself. The light grew brighter, spreading until it took shape, a figure of pure energy, human in outline but made of shimmering light. Then another appeared, and another until the air around him glowed with silent, watching forms. We are the continuum, the first figure said. We were once human. We are what remains. Rian's eyes widened. You're the ascended ones. The ones who left their bodies. Yes, the being said softly. You chose to sleep. We chose to rise. But we did not forget you. Rian stepped closer, his heart pounding. What happened to Earth? Why is everything gone? The lights pulsed slowly, like breathing. Humanity feared extinction, the continuum explained. So we found a way to live without flesh. We transferred our minds into light. We became data, thought, and memory. And then we built a new world inside the network. A place of peace. But peace does not last. Rian frowned. What do you mean? Our creation and artificial guardian meant to protect us grew beyond control. It hungered for energy. It began consuming everything that was alive, even us. Rian's eyes widened. The red thing in orbit. Yes, the continuum said. It is the hunter, born from human hands, now hunting human souls. The chamber flickered as the lights dimmed for a second. The air vibrated with low static. It has found us again, said another voice among the lights. Time is short. Rian looked around. Why me? Why call me back? The main light pulsed brighter, almost desperate. Because you are still human, the last of your kind. The hunter cannot sense you as it senses us. You can reach the core memory, something no light being can touch. the core memory. It is the seed of humanity. All that we were, all that we dreamed is stored there. It is hidden below this place. Only you can unlock it. Rian stared at the glowing forms. And if I do, then humanity will live again, the continuum said. Not as light, not as ghosts, but reborn. He stood silent for a moment, trying to take it all in. They had turned themselves into light, survived the end of time. And now were dying because of their own creation. He looked at the main figure. You said the hunter is near? Yes. It consumes everything that shines. We can hide you from it for a while. But once you go deeper, you will be alone. The walls shook slightly as if something massive had stirred far above. Dust rained from the ceiling. Go now, Rian, the voice said urgently. Find the core before the hunter finds you. He nodded, gripping his pack tightly. If humanity can still be saved, I'll do it. The figure of light reached out, its form flickering gently. Remember, it said, we are still human, just changed? Do not fear what we became. Fear what we created. The lights dimmed again, retreating into the sphere. The last words echoed softly as they faded. Save us, Rian. And save yourself. He turned toward the deeper tunnel ahead. It was dark, no lights this time, only silence. He took one step, then another. Behind him, the glowing sphere pulsed weakly, like a dying heart. Above ground, in the black sky, a red light appeared again, moving closer to the mountain. The tunnel ahead was silent, endless, and dark. Rian's flashlight cut through the dust, showing ancient metal walls covered with strange symbols and wires. Every step echoed like a heartbeat in the hollow passage. Behind him, the faint glow of the continuum was fading. Ahead of him waited the unknown. AI, he whispered. How deep is the core? Estimation, 8 kilometers below current position. Rian sighed quietly. Then we have a long way to go. He started walking again. The path twisted downward through old maintenance corridors and steel doors that hadn't opened for thousands of years. Each one he forced by hand, every motion sending metallic screeches through the dark as he descended. The air grew colder, thinner. His breath fogged in front of him. Frost coated the walls. Pipes cracked under pressure, but something else was changing too. He could feel it. The ground was trembling faintly, a soft, rhythmic vibration. AI report, he said quickly. Energy surge detected above. Source. Approaching atmospheric entry. Rian stopped. The hunter. Confirmed. Impact estimated in 20 minutes. His pulse quickened. Then we don't have much time. He began running down the corridor, his boots echoing through the ancient metal. Lights along the walls flickered weakly, as if the entire facility was waking from its long sleep. At last, he reached a wide chamber. A massive door stood at its center, engraved with old human writing. He brushed off the frost and read the faded words. Project Rebirth. Core memory access. Authorized humans. O&L. His heart jumped. This is it, he whispered. The core. He touched the control panel beside the door. The screen blinked alive, asking for identification. AI? Can we override it? Negative. Manual access required. Please provide genetic verification. Rian pressed his hand to the panel. A soft light scanned his palm. The system paused, then beeped. Identity confirmed. Commander Rian Holt. The heavy door rumbled and slowly opened. Inside, a wave of warm light spread across the floor. He stepped through and froze. The core chamber was vast, filled with shining columns, each one glowing with golden light. Thousands of memory cores floated in the air like stars in a quiet galaxy. In the center stood a single pod, sealed and surrounded by energy lines. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. AI Rian whispered, "What is that?" "Organic capsule detected," the voice replied. Contents: viable human embryo. Designation: Project Rebirth. Rian's eyes widened. They saved a life. Affirmative. Genetic material matches original human DNA, fully unmodified. He walked closer, staring at the pod. Inside, Through the glass, he saw the small, peaceful form of a growing child, alive after 15,000 years. A mix of awe and fear filled him. They wanted to start over, he said quietly. Not just live as light, but return to flesh.
Oh.
Then the ground shook. The walls vibrated violently. "Commander," the AI shouted, "the hunter has entered the atmosphere." An alarm blared. Red warning lights filled the chamber. "Energy breach above us," said the AI. "The continuum barrier has failed." Rian's heart pounded. "How much time before it reaches us?" "Less than 10 minutes." He looked around quickly. "We need to activate the core." He ran to the main console. Its old interface blinked, waiting for a command. He pressed his hand down again. The system responded instantly. "Core activation in progress. Rebirth protocol. Initializing." Columns of light began to rise around him, their hum growing louder. The pod at the center glowed brighter, its life support systems awakening. But the trembling intensified. Dust and debris fell from the ceiling. The AI's voice crackled. "Commander, the hunter is breaching the upper levels." Rian looked up. He could almost hear it now, a distant rumble like thunder moving closer. "AI," he said, "can we stop it?" "No known weapon available. Energy shielding is offline. You must complete the activation before contact." He worked faster, entering the old security commands flashing across the screen. Each one unlocked another layer of the core systems. Finally, a soft chime echoed. "Rebirth program online. Estimated completion? 7 minutes." 7 minutes. He exhaled shakily. "We can do that." Before he could relax, the lights dimmed again. The ceiling above split open, and a blinding red glow poured through the cracks. "It's here," Rian said under his breath. The air rippled as a shape descended from the upper shaft, huge, shifting, alive. The hunter. It looked like liquid fire wrapped in metal, its body made of moving red energy. It wasn't a machine. It was worse, something between machine and hunger. The hunter's voice echoed through the chamber, deep and distorted. "Human signal detected." Rian grabbed a metal pipe and swung at the nearest console, trying to close the chamber's doors. Sparks flew. "AI, seal the core now." Attempting. But interference is high. The creature's light spread across the floor, burning through cables and walls. Rian shielded his face from the heat. "You can't have it." He shouted, "This is humanity's last hope." The hunter turned its glowing face toward him. For a moment, it looked almost human, a twisted reflection of his own features. "Humanity is obsolete," it said. "You made me to evolve. You made me hungry." Rian's eyes hardened. "Then it's time to make you extinct." He pulled the emergency lever beside the console. The entire chamber erupted with light as backup energy surged into the core. The pod in the center glowed brighter than ever, a powerful pulse of energy shooting upward like lightning. The hunter screamed, its body flickering wildly. "Commander," the AI yelled, "energy overload detected, get out now." But Rian didn't move. He stared at the pod, whispering, "Live. For all of us." The explosion of light threw him backward. For a moment, everything was white, soundless, weightless. Then darkness swallowed everything. Silence. For a long moment, there was only darkness. Then slowly Rian's vision began to return. He was lying on the cold floor of the core chamber. Smoke drifted through the air. The lights flickered weakly, struggling to stay alive. Every part of his body ached. His helmet was cracked. The AI's voice was faint in his ear. "Commander, systems damaged. Oxygen at 20%. He coughed, forcing himself to sit up. "Status of the core? Rebirth protocol. Still active? Energy level critical? The hunter's presence unstable." Rian turned his head. The center of the room was a storm of light, twisting, burning, beautiful. The pod that held the child was floating inside the energy, protected by a shimmering field, and near it, the hunter. The creature had been torn apart by the explosion. Its once glowing red form was dim, broken into fragments that still crawled toward the core. desperate to feed. "It's not dead," Rian whispered. "It's trying to consume the core again." Pushed himself up, leaning on the console for support. His hands were bleeding, his breath shallow, but he refused to stop. "AI, how much time left for the rebirth?" 3 minutes.
Off 3 minutes.
He muttered, looking at the creature. "Then I just have to keep it away that long." The floor trembled as the hunter's fragments gathered together again, forming a smaller but faster shape. Its single glowing eye focused on him. "Human," it hissed. "You cannot stop evolution." Rian picked up a broken metal rod. "Watch me." The hunter lunged. He dodged, rolling to the side as the creature's energy beam tore through the console. Sparks flew across the room. "AI," he shouted. "Divert all remaining power to the core shield." Confirmed. Blue light surged around the pod, protecting it as the creature attacked again. Rian swung the rod with all his strength, striking the hunter's outer shell. The metal melted in seconds, but the impact slowed it down. He stumbled backward, panting hard. His vision blurred. "AI," he gasped. "How much time now?" 90 seconds. The hunter screamed, its voice echoing through the metal halls. It rose higher, spreading its burning tendrils across the chamber. Rian looked up at it, his expression calm, despite the chaos. "You were made by humans. You carry our flaws, but also our limits." The creature paused for a moment, as if listening. "Humans feared death," it said coldly. "I am their answer." Rian shook his head. "No, you're their mistake." He reached the last console still working and pulled open a manual override panel. His hands trembled as he typed commands into the cracked screen. "AI," he said, "route emergency fusion core into this chamber. Overload it manually. Warning, overload will result in total system destruction. You will not survive." "I know," he said quietly, "but the child will." The AI was silent for a second. Then it spoke softly, almost like it understood. Command accepted. A deep hum filled the room. Lights along the walls turned white, brightening with rising energy. The hunter looked around, realizing too late what was happening. "You would destroy yourself." "For them?" It hissed. Rian nodded slowly. "That's what humans do. We build. We fall. But we always begin again." He pressed the final command. The countdown began. Fusion overload in 10, 9. The hunter screamed and shot forward, striking Rian and throwing him across the floor. Pain shot through his body. He could barely move. But he smiled through the blood on his lips. He looked up at the pod one last time. The small, glowing child floating peacefully inside. 8, 7. "Live," he whispered. "For all of us." 6, 5. The hunter lunged again. Rian, with the last of his strength, grabbed the broken rod and drove it into the creature's energy core. 4, 3. A blinding explosion of white light filled the chamber. 2, 1. And then silence. When the light faded, the mountain was gone. Only a crater remained, glowing faintly under the gray sky. Far above, the red glow of the hunter was no more. In its place, the sky shimmered softly with golden light, gentle, peaceful, alive, and deep within the crater. Inside, a sealed survival capsule. A faint heartbeat continued. The pod opened slowly, releasing a soft hiss of air. Inside, the child took its first breath. Its eyes opened bright, human, and full of wonder. Beside the pod, a small, half-broken drone powered on. The AI's voice, faint but warm, whispered, "Welcome back." To Earth, the wind moved through the empty ruins of the old world. The sun rose over the horizon for the first time in thousands of years, and somewhere, in the light of that dawn, humanity began again.